Welcome back, everyone. Today we're looking at something completely different we've never really done before, except in maybe haul videos. Looking at CDs. Today we're looking at Thrice. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. I believe this was released in May of 2016. I didn't buy this until last fall, sometime in late 2024. It might have actually been in a haul video that we saw. And then lastly, we got Thrice. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. I believe I stumbled across this and picked this up at a, yeah, I can actually see the residue of the sticker from a vintage stock. Now, Thrice is a band that I remember buying their album, The Artist in the Ambulance, like the special edition first release when it first came out back in 2003 or so, whenever that was. But it's one that, like, remember I imported into my iTunes over the years, and it would come on sporadically on shuffle for, for the past 20 some years. But it was never a band that I would take the CD, put it in, and purposefully and intentionally listen to. But I think sometime also last year, I stumbled upon like a 2-disc live album that I think was recorded in 2008, and so I picked it up, listened to it, and it was good. And I stumbled across this one last fall. Thrice, To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere. So this was 2016, released BMG, also via Vagrant Records. Vagrant Records released 4391. Now, reading up on this, this was their first album after a 4-year hiatus. They hadn't released anything since 2011. Oof, it's looking a little worse for wear. I don't know if you see all the scratches. It was used when I bought it, but I've also played the crap out of it the past, I'd say 7-8 months. I used to not like jewel cases or digipacks like this, the cardboard cases, but that's pretty much most CDs you buy now usually come with this because they're cheaper to make, from what I understand, as opposed to the plastic jewel cases. So band members Dustin Kinsrew, Ed Breckenridge, Riley Breckenridge, and Tepe Teranishi. Music by Thrice, lyrics by Dustin Kinsrew. Produced, engineered, and mixed by Eric Palmquist at Palmquist Studios. Engineered by Stephen Aguiar and Ian McGregor. Drum tech, Colin Gravy Strom. Guitar tech, Mike Orr. Mastered by Ted Jensen at Sterling Sound. Art direction, design, and artwork by Christopher King. Management, nobody cares about all songs. Okay. We got Hurricane and Blood on the Sand. See, this is why I like physical media. You don't get this same kind of stuff with the window and wake up with iTunes or Apple Music and Spotify and all that. I mean, now I keep saying iTunes, but Apple Music and Spotify. If you watch, have a playlist, whatever, they have some, not all albums, but a lot of albums have like animated like covers and all that. And then as you listen to the song, it'll show the lyrics and all that kind of stuff. And it's really cool. But I still like the physical media of having a tangible thing. The Long Defeat. Black Honey. Stay With Me, Death From Above. Whistleblower, and Salt and Shadow. I won't go too into it, but I just happened to buy this album, spinning it in my truck for months or however long, and then I kind of re-ingratiated myself into this lifestyle ritual where I started participating in a social event, a social lifestyle that I hadn't been into for years. And so since I started getting back into that and I was listening to this album now correlates with that. You know how like you hear a song that you used to listen to a lot when you're like a teenager or dating this girl or dating that guy, if you're, that way, or whatever, if you're female. And you just correlate that song or that album with that time period. It's like, I just bought this less than a year ago and I listened to it over the weekend, technically last night, because now it's like a ritual. Whenever I go to participate in this one function, I always put on this album. I'll be driving 435 through or downtown Kansas City, cruising around at night, and then I listen to this, and it's just like the soundtrack to that lifestyle, that societal function that I indulge in. But already, even though I've only started delving back into that lifestyle into December, and here it is July, it's kind of tapered off a little bit the past couple months as I've been moving and doing other things. But this album already has huge nostalgia for me to where I put it on. I'm already dreaming back and remembering back to December and January and driving around in the cold and the snow and in the ice listening to this album. And it just seems like a lifetime ago. But this album I haven't even owned for less than a year. Now Thrice again is a band I've heard of and been around and known of for 20 some years. And I'd always correlate them with Thursday, and I don't know why. Whenever people mention Thursday or mention Thrice, I always think of Thursday. I think of Thursday, I mention Thrice. I know it's probably because they're both TH bands. And back when you're shopping for music CDs, TH was always right next to each other. But I was like, there's got to be some other reason why I correlate the two. But ever since I moved here to the new place, I've been going through all my old records. By records, I mean just random things. Like digging through, magazine cutouts and all the weird, random stuff I've accumulated over the years. I found the reason why. I think it's because of this. This is a rip-out poster from Revolver, Dustin Kindred of Thrice, and Jeff Rickley of Thursday. The other side's got Foo Fighters and that other dude, Lemmy. But this is in this big art portfolio I have that just has tons of cutouts and things from band magazines. I think my girlfriend probably at the time ripped this out and gave it to him because she knew I was a huge Thursday fan. I met Jeff Rickley a few different times over the years. Thrice, I don't think I've ever seen. I would love to see Thrice. I don't know if they're still putting out records currently or if they're still touring, but I've also obviously become a bigger fan of them now than I was 20 some years ago. I'll purposefully put on their albums. I've bought other albums of theirs since. Let's do that the other way. But yeah, but somehow it's probably this in the back of my mind, because this might have used to hang on the wall of my bedroom years and years and years ago. But this album already, like I said, has huge significance and nostalgia for me. So in 30 years from now, if I hear this album again, if I'm still kicking, I'll think back to specifically late 2024, early 2025, and the world that I was living in. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are. This album is definitely a lot different than their earlier work, but it's also heavier, more somber, darker, but also has more weight to it than the early kind of post-hardcore, punky kind of stuff that they did back in the day. Anyway, as always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.